Hello, it's me, Damien Bart, welcoming you back to our podcast. Look, your TBR pile is teetering, I understand, and at this point you probably just don't want any more recommendations. But you know what? I'm here with another recommendation for you, so you better be prepared to love it. Now, this author has such a great name that I think if I was an editor, I'd buy his books just so I could put his name on the cover. His name is Ryan Love. How perfect is that? Before becoming an author, Ryan worked as a journalist. He's from Northern Ireland. He worked on music campaigns for stars including Britney Spears and Shakira. So, you know, he's got some moves. He was selected as one of the Independent's debut authors set to make their mark this year with this novel, and we're really excited to have it on our podcast. The novel is called Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out. How gorgeous is that? So, the book is a very joyful story of self-acceptance. It's about a grandfather and a grandson who both come out as gay. And when they do that, they've both got to deal with all the repercussions that come with living their truth in that very honest way, while also figuring out who they are in their respective queer lives. There's obviously a big age difference between the two of them, different cultural references, and different worlds that shape them. But it's a story that I've never read before, this, dual intergenerational narrative. And, so much of it doesn't matter, right, in terms of age. You falling in love is falling in love, whether you're 21 or whether you're nearly 80. But it is not all sunshine and rainbows. There are tensions in the family. There are, of course, as there are in real life, there are bigots and there are people who want to get in the way of their happiness. So it's a story about how Arthur and Teddy bond as they navigate this new world and try and support each other. Justin Myers, who we love on the podcast, the guy liner, for those of you who follow him online, and also a novelist in his own right, a fantastically funny, brilliant novelist, the author of The Fake Up. He describes Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out as uplifting and emotional. Who doesn't want that right now? Here is the gorgeously named Ryan Love with a reading from his new book.
Hello, I'm Ryan Love, and I'm so thrilled to be reading exclusively for listeners of Damien Barr's Literary Salon from my new book, Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out. I'm going to be reading from chapter 7. It picks up in the days following Arthur telling his family that he's gay. Hurt by what she's seen as a huge betrayal, his daughter Elizabeth hasn't reacted well to the news at all. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's son Teddy, who has a very close relationship with his grandfather, has gone against his mum's wishes and decided to come and visit him and his grandmother Madeline. Teddy's had a busy week himself, having somewhat reluctantly started a trainee reporter position at the newspaper Elizabeth is a columnist for. Arthur's announcement and his mum's reaction has given Teddy lots to think about. Here's a short reading for you. Arthur was ready and waiting at the door when Teddy arrived. He couldn't help but beam at his grandson as he traipsed up the driveway. He remembered the day Teddy had been born like it was yesterday, his first and only grandson. He was so proud of the handsome young man he'd grown into. "You look like you had a late night," Arthur said, wrapping his arms around Teddy. "It's really good of you to come over." "Don't be daft. Of course I had to come. I'm just sorry I had to wait all week." "Work's far more important, young man. I hope all of this wasn't too much of a distraction." "No, don't worry. I'll tell you all about it later on, I promise." Madeline was waiting in the lounge as they walked in. "Hello, love. It's so good to see you." Teddy kissed her on the cheek. "Hi, Nan. I could smell the scones when I was coming up the driveway. They're just fresh from the oven, so I hope you're hungry." She left the room as Arthur and Teddy sat down on the large sofa. "Where does your mum think you are?" "I just said I was going to meet Shaq and Lexi for the afternoon." "How are your sisters?" "They're good. Both sent their love." "That's good," Arthur said. "And your mum?" "You know what she's like. I heard about the newsagents yesterday." "I've never seen her so angry. Everyone must know by now, of course. There's nothing this town loves more than some fresh gossip." "I wouldn't worry about them, Grandad. Let them talk." Arthur had tried not to dwell on the repercussions of his coming out. Harriet's visit had been an early indication that it was not all going to be smooth sailing when it came to finding acceptance within their circle of friends and neighbours. "I can't really worry about everyone else until I know that Elizabeth, Patrick and you lot are all right. Nobody else matters right now." Well, I hope you know that you being gay changes nothing. You're still my granddad, and I love you very much. Arthur didn't have a chance to compose himself. A week's worth of emotion hit him. He pulled a tissue out of the box on the table beside the sofa. Madeline, as intuitive as always, had placed it there just before Teddy had arrived. Sorry, I didn't want to upset you. No, don't be silly, lad, it's just me being daft. It's been a long week, a long life. I don't know if you want to talk too much about all of it. We can another time if you'd rather. I don't mind if you have questions, which I'm sure you must. I'll do my best to answer them. Arthur knew it was best to at least give Teddy the chance to ask whatever he wanted to, so that he and his sisters could begin to understand. It felt like the very least he owed them. I guess, how long have you known? Teddy said quickly. Arthur knew the question must have been on the tip of his tongue. Would you believe me if I said forever? Really? Teddy asked, his eyebrows raised. I believe so. It was a different time, even in a town so close to the bright lights of the city. It just wasn't possible to live like that. You stayed here, though. You could have escaped and lived your own life somewhere else. It wasn't that simple, Teddy. I couldn't just run. I had responsibilities within the family, the business. You gave up going to university and stayed here for your mum and the girls when your father died. We make choices and have to live with them. But you gave up being who you are. It's hard to comprehend, I know. I can't regret the sacrifices I made. How could I when I'm sitting here with you? Life's full of sacrifices, Teddy. We'll make good and bad ones, but we shouldn't let regrets define us. I'm not perfect, but I hope when I'm not here, the people I love will remember me for the good things and know I did my best for them. I'm really proud of you, Teddy said. The statement took Arthur aback. It was one thing to find acceptance from those around him, but to have his only grandson say that he was proud of him meant the world. Are you really? Of course I am. You deserve to be happy, no matter what age. When Dad died, I thought I'd never be happy again, but you showed me that I could be. If Nan can understand that, you don't need to worry about anyone else. I wish that was true. It's Mum, isn't it? I'd just give anything for her to walk in that door now and hug me. I think she's being selfish. Arthur shook his head, his forehead furrowed. I know she can be tough, but your mum's an incredibly loving person. When she's ready, she'll talk to me, and hopefully I can help her understand. I'm going to do everything I can to help her see sense. Don't push her too much. Let her get there in her own time. But that's not fair on you. Teddy, I've been waiting all these years. I can give your mother as long as she needs. Well, I can't, Teddy said, jumping from the chair so fast he shocked Arthur. He watched as his grandson paced around the room, his head in his hands, mumbling something he couldn't quite make out. He had never seen him like this before. What's wrong, Teddy? All of this. I just want everything to be normal again. I want my family together. It will be. Your mum will come round and everything will get back to normal. You don't understand what I'm saying. It won't be. I've seen how she feels now. Arthur shook his head. Teddy was right. He didn't understand what he meant. He watched as his grandson stopped pacing and took a deep breath. It's not just you, Grandad. It's me too. You've upset your mum? She doesn't even know. She'll probably cut me out when she does. Teddy, are you saying, I'm gay? I'm gay too. For a brief second, Arthur thought Teddy was going to topple over, as it looked like his shaking legs were about to give way. Sit yourself down, he said, helping Teddy into the chair. Better? Teddy looked up at him, his eyes filled with tears. I can't believe I just said that out loud. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just blurt it out like that. I wasn't going to say it today. But listening to you talk about regrets and making the right choices, I can't just sit and lie to you, not when you've been so brave. Arthur couldn't quite believe what he'd heard. He was almost tempted to ask Teddy to confirm it, but the smile on his grandson's face seemed to do that by itself. He had always known Teddy was a little different to many of the other boys his age, but they'd always put that down to his shyness. Everything suddenly made more sense to Arthur as he smiled back at Teddy. You really didn't know I was gay? About as much as you did me. They both laughed loudly. Arthur couldn't remember the last time he'd felt his stomach ache from laughing so hard. The noise was loud enough to attract Madeline's attention, and she came rushing into the room, her face filled with concern. "Is everything all right?" she asked, looking at them both. "Sorry, Nan. Everything's fine. We were just reminiscing." "Oh, good. The noise took me by surprise. Are you both ready for tea?" "We'll be right out," Arthur said, pushing himself up from the sofa with a soft groan. "Does anyone else know Teddy?" he asked, once they were alone again. "Not yet. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. How can I possibly tell Mum when she's reacted so badly to you? She's still your mum. And you're still her dad. I know what you mean, but I'm just not ready to deal with any of this. Not yet." "I understand. Just remember that every day you aren't being true to who you are is a day wasted. I know I'm very blessed to have had a good life, but you deserve to have the best life, the one you really want, not the one other people think you should have. Learn from my mistakes, Teddy. That's the most important advice I can give you. Now come on, your Nan wouldn't let me touch those scones until you were here." Thanks so much for listening. I really hope you're able to join Arthur and Teddy on the rest of their journey to being who they truly are in Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out.
That was Ryan Love reading exclusively for the Literary Salon. Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out is published by HQ, which is an imprint of HarperCollins, and it's available now in all good bookshops. As ever, you can get it from your local indie bookshop, or better yet, go to one of the many queer-owned bookshops in the UK, like Gaze the Word in London or Queerlit in Manchester. And also there are loads of brilliant queer book clubs online now. Check them out on socials. So anyway, and as ever, copies are available in our bookshop, so please do go and cruise our shelves. You never know who you might meet there. If you know somebody who's after an uplifting, feel-good LGBTQ plus love story, and I mean really who isn't in need of that, then please do recommend this episode. We love to spread the joy with the books that we feature on the podcast, and I'm really grateful to you as ever for listening and for sharing. So thank you for being a big part of what we do here at Salon. And by the way, have you got your tickets for our live event on May the 25th? It's in London. Check it out.